What's your goal? That's the thing about raw foods, is that
My goal
it depends
is
on what
to
your goal
be
is.
the most healthy that I can in this corrupt and filthy world. That's what my goal is. We talked about the chemtrails. I don't know if a lot of people in this room even know what that is. And I am a conspiracy theorist, to be honest with you, because the more you read about it, the more it all connects. And you start to go, what am I supposed to do now?
Well, it ain't a
Because
conspiracy.
I'm fighting everything. I'm fighting car emissions. I'm fighting chemtrails. I'm fighting the soil, like you said. That aluminum that drops from the sky from these planes into the soil are killing our food. And it's not
And the bugs, and the
anymore.
fish, and the birds, and the
Everything.
trees.
This Fukushima thing that we get nothing on the news is insane when you start to step outside the box.
Yeah.
Stop listening to Fox News. Go to Japanese news and stuff, and you start to see that it's really kind of a dangerous thing. So my goal is, yes, just to be as optimally healthy as I possibly can.
Then you have to stop fighting.
Fighting.
The resistance is going to wear you down. So now it's more about illuminating, and allowing, and then cultivating. So, to get to that place, there will be skinniness. Lou Corona, to get rid of the tumors, the acne, the arthritis, and the asthma, he had to go down to 100 pounds. This is a 160-pound man. All his buddies in the military. See, so it's scary. People are afraid. I'm not afraid. I am afraid because this dadgum career that I've got myself into is to get up on camera. And when I do the water fasting at home, I only go so far, and then I stay way back, and I put on big clothes because I don't want everyone to know I'm on day 6, 7, 8 of a water fast, and I'm looking a little gaunt.
But do eventually, does it come back a little bit?
Of course it will, and it'll fill back in. Here's the thing. When Lou Corona squeezed that sponge down to 100 pounds and everyone thought he was dying, all his military buddies, you're dying, dude. And they gave up on him. And they're all dead now.
Can I say something?
Well, hold on one sec, babe. And then when you squeeze that sponge, you will fill back in with the best, most high-quality tissue. And it will be the most amazing thing, and you'll be fully
And
regenerated.
that's what I keep saying to them too, is like, you just wait. And I'm not going to gain my weight back on Del Taco and McDonald's. I'm going to gain it back on
Yes.
kale and pineapple and all of the good things, and as hopefully as organic as I can get in stores that I don't even know if they're false label. That's the other thing that
What were we going to say,
freaks me out.
miss?
I was gonna say, if you're not, if you are, like, if you haven't done any fasting, I don't know if you've done juice fasting or fasting, you could still be breaking down the mucoid plaque in your colon wall, and so you may not be absorbing the nutrients that you're taking in, and if you're not absorbing, that's when you start becoming mineral deficient. That's when your hair gets weak and starts falling out. And
Yeah.
like that happened to me. I was doing more like 80-10-10 style, and yeah, it's detox too, but I also was definitely not absorbing because I was so hungry all the time.
So how do you know?
And well, I did a colonic, or I went to get colon hydrotherapy.
I do those.
And my
I saw you doing it, Dan. I go to the one in Seal Beach.
cool,
Debbie.
yeah, Debbie Drew.
Debbie Drew, Queen of Pooh.
She's Debbie. She's so funny. She comes in a little too much. I'm like, Debbie, seriously?
I know, it's
Oh,
hard
a
to
little
like
bit of me
relax.
time.
Yeah. So I did a colon hydrotherapy session, and I had been like 3 months on raw foods, and my food, like, it was, there's the plastic tube that you can see like the
Yeah.
food going through. She was like, oh, your food's not completely digested. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm on raw foods for the first time, and I can't even break that down, and it's enzyme-rich food. So like our pancreas, like we have these organs that we don't even know how weak they are. And so if you're not breaking it down, if you're not absorbing and utilizing it, there's just so many different things that could be happening there. So it's like you could get your blood checked, like Lou does the live blood analysis, and somebody who can really tap in and see exactly what's going on. Like some people have
Would be, but,
spiritual
like,
sight.
Where would I go?
Lou Corona, like there's this guy Anthony, was that you? Told me now. There's a guy named Anthony Williams, the medical medium. They have like spiritual sight, and they can tell you exactly what's going on with you, just because they have that on, like, and they'll tell you, oh, you're not absorbing. But my first thought was maybe she's not absorbing her food. And that is when you do want to do the fasting, the juice fasting, break it down. Like there's some
Well,
products.
I went from, like, again, your standard American diet
Yeah.
to eating Like in the morning, it was like
Huh.
just a big, huge meal of grapes, you know, and then at lunch, it was like 2 bananas, 3 bananas, and a couple of dates. And
You're still dealing with mucoid plaque,
I am
guaranteed.
still dealing-
Oh man, I'm still dealing with mucoid plaque.
Yeah.
This stuff goes way deep. I mean, it's just, it sounds like you're crazy, you have orthorexia. No, people don't know that the hardening, that the sclerotic hardening of the masses of mucus that become wax because your body's trying to protect itself from Burger King. It doesn't recognize the shizness in Burger King burgers, and it throws up a protective mechanism over and over and over and over again. And finally, that just becomes hard as, it's like a wax. And it takes place through all the blood vessels, all the colon, and it's called mucoid plaquing, protein plaquing, fat plaquing from fried fats. And it just leaves a thin, hard layer. And then the oxygen utilization is inhibited, the absorption of minerals and vitamins and antioxidants is inhibited. And so
it's just that
cell permeability.
mucoid cleanse.
It's going to take a while. You know, Lou Corona ate, he's my best example because he's one of the few. That's a friend of mine, and he did it. He ate watermelon for 45 days, and a black rubber hose came out of his behind. You see what I'm saying? And that's what we're dealing with.
Before you take someone else, I just want to give her a clear direction. I would look into live blood analysis, because other people do it besides him. So live blood analysis, I would look into enzyme therapy, because enzyme therapy breaks down that mucoid plaque faster. So look into enzyme therapy and live blood analysis, and then start researching water fasting. Because if you really want to do it all the way, because it just depends on how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. It depends on how far you want to go. If you want to go all the way, you want to look into completely, yeah. And
Down
then
the rabbit hole
you
to
have
reach the
be
heights.
dedicated to stay on the right path, because you don't want to go back to eating cooked food after getting all that out of your system. You probably won't, though.
Do you drink juice?
I jumped in. Do I drink
That's the
juice?
beauty of the juice. That's why I love the juice, because if there is the mucoid plaquing, the juicing is just, everything is water soluble. All the vitamins, minerals, even the fats need to be emulsified into a water soluble. So you've got the little hair-like structures in your GI tract that are little suction cups that absorb the nutrients. And here is where all the mucoid plaque gets stuck. And then with a lot of heavy mucoid plaquing, it just lays them out. And that's why everybody's eating and eating and eating and eating and eating and eating, and they're hardly absorbing anything, and they're going to Red Lobster, and they're eating huge steaks and potatoes, and they're this big, and they're not absorbing anything. And so juicing allows us to start the process of regenerating ourselves by the ease of absorbability through the stomach and the small intestine, and then we can begin to start normalizing the system. And it's really nice to be able to extract that fiber, concentrate that nutrition from kale and parsley, and get it in there, and then the absorption might be low, but with the juice you can raise that absorption of those ever important minerals.
Well, medium now to be absorbed, yeah.
Everybody needs to absorb, and when we're absorbing through the chewing, really good chewing of the food, and then that's why I like the juicing though, and that's why I'm like pretty much addicted to it, because the levels of nutrition that you can absorb when you extract the fiber, you ain't gonna eat 15 carrots. You're gonna eat 2 or 3 and your jaw's gonna get sore.
So Dan, when you guys juice, do you do like on a daily basis, are you doing like 32 ounces, like 2 or 3 times a day, or 64, or
You know,
vegetables?
that's an awesome question. I do 32 at least, and sometimes 64. Usually it's like, I'll drink 2 jars of juice, and that's a meal for me. Like before I came here, I had 2 jars of orange, ginger, turmeric, and that's the set, you know. And but for breakfast, I only had 1 jar, 32-ounce jar of coconut wheatgrass, just to wet the whistle, get the system moving. Went out for some fresh air, rebounding. Went for a jog with Christina, you know, and then that just kind of got the motors running. And hydration. If you don't learn anything else from me today, hydrate. Get the best water like Penta. is really structured water, which is going to get in there and start to hydrate the inner cells and the external fluids, so that everything is hydrated, so that everything is moving, and the electricity from the minerals can create that
And
conductivity.
Mineral-rich fruits, vegetables, what would you suggest the most? You keep on saying mineral food, dark leafy greens.
Dark leafy greens, but spread out and absorbed with some of the sweets. So like apple and kale. The kale by itself is kind of a little too thick, a little too concentrated. You throw it with some apple, that's going to activate the salivary glands, and that's going to create because fruit is where that's where you lean towards, because our brains run on the sugar. And if we lived in a perfect world, the mangoes would be growing on the south side of the slope of a volcanic glacier, and the mangoes would have every mineral known to mankind in it, and then you'd be good to go. But the greens have an affinity and a concentration. That's why they heal. And so like I do sweets and greens. I do fruits and greens, apples and kale and parsley. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I just do fruit juices and everything, and add matcha or spironella. Is that considered green?
Those are considered green. The powders aren't. Anything that's living and fresh is the best because of the structured water. But when I get alfalfa powder, am I stoked? Of course, because the alfalfa digs way deep down in the earth, but I can't get fresh alfalfa. If I could drink fresh alfalfa, would I do that? Of course. And then I'd have the most nutrients of all.
What about
But I use
sprouts?
powder instead because I can't get that, and then I still get a lot of minerals from the powder. So
It's also super
fresh first.
concentrated. The powders are super concentrated.
That's right, and so you're helping people shore up. We're so deficient and so excessive, We're deficient in the micros, and we're excessive in the macros, We want micronutrition, electricity, minerals, and vitamins, And the vitamins can function, but you got to have everything in synergy, and that's why I just go for the most nutrient dense, mineral rich, tree ripened. You get an unripe mango, and you eat too many unripe mangoes thrown into your smoothie, your teeth are going to fall out. And so that's why the whole fruitarian thing and all that's like, whoa, be careful, be smart. You're just throwing those. You won't eat that mango by itself. But if you throw it into a smoothie and then throw a bunch of other stuff in there, you can cover that over. But it doesn't have the minerals, it's not ripe, and it's just leaching. So don't get leached. Nope, this girl. No, she's patient. What's up?
Well, I have like most people in the raw food diet, as soon as they start eating raw food, they lose weight, and I haven't lost the weight that I wanted to lose. So
Are you drinking tap water?
no, I
Did you just recently stop?
over the last 6 months, I slowly transformed from 80% to like 90-something% raw food. I'm not 100%, but
Yeah.
high 90s.
Thyroid is coming into play, and how's your physical activity?
Well, I just started running again. I was I went on
Huh.
a 10-mile run the other day.
Nice work. And so you're just nothing at all? Not even a slow?
Well, maybe if I start continuously running, now I sprained my ankle, so I can't run for a few weeks maybe. But after running for a while, in combination with the raw food, maybe I'll.
Let me ask you another thing. Are you eating nuts?
I eat a high nut.
Do you soak your nuts?
I soak my nuts.
Okay, that's good. And what kind of nuts are they?
All kinds of nuts.
Is it the nuts that are going to allow you to stay raw at this point? Or can you move over into more juices and fruits to start? You need to start breaking up. There's just so much occlusion in everybody, even a skinny little dude like me.
Sugar from fruits, she's eating a lot of fruits.
Well, the thing is the fruits, sugar, it's a matter of, see, you know what makes you fat and hold on to weight is toxins. So you have to detox the fried fats that you've eaten that are just stuck there. And it isn't going to, that's why the enzyme therapy is helpful. The colonics are helpful.
High water.
Emulsification, you're eating fruits and you're just dissolving, it's so sticky, slimy, mucus, hardened, lumpy masses of fried, cooked. I just don't think that cooked foods in any way, shape, or form is going to be of service to one with this vision. It's just, I need electricity. I eat I eat wet electricity. So oranges. Avocados are just a nice lubricator. You got to have vitamin E and some essential fats for sure. But at this stage of the game, you know, it's just detoxing the system, because I'm sure if you're coming from a regular diet,
I was always health conscious. I never ate, well, when I was little, I ate more fried food, but not,
a lot of grains.
well, I'm gluten intolerant, so over the last years, I haven't had much gluten at all, so.
You may need to take it easy on the nuts. Kudos to soaking them. That's a whole nother level. And usually when we're trying to get people to lose weight in the beginning, it's like, okay, just eat your nuts. Because otherwise they're going to eat your nuts, eat the fats. Otherwise they're going to, I'm going to do DTM. I'm going to drink juice all day and then have fruit at night. And then they can do that for 4 or 5 or 6 days. And then their parasites punch them in their face. And they end up back, and then the whole thing goes downwards and they go on a binger. And it's like, so you got to do this like this. Real cool, real smart, real mellow, chilling. So more on the fruits, green juice. It's going to take time. It's like a mucusless diet. Arnold Ehret is my boy, dude. He inspires me after 100 years later. Is just to dissolve. Fruit dissolves. Green juices nourish and stabilize, alkalinize the fluids, and provide those minerals which will bring the conductivity. And then lots of water. Water is an emulsifier, good water though, like structured. You can't, the bottled waters, you can't do it. Even the bottled waters by the conglomerates, we found out, of course we always knew this, but they're putting fluoride in there because the big conglomerates own the bottled water and they're a part of the whole thing. Conspiracy again. And so you're just dumbing yourself down, man, starting to stay asleep. There was somebody else who was...
So what should we do?
Wait, I think Maddie was first.
I don't have a question, but I was just going to suggest check your dosha.
My what?
You can go to whatsmydosha.com. It's more like Ayurvedic, DOSHA. And there's 3 types, and so you can, a friend of mine was eating all raw and she gained weight. Another thing that I would suggest is if you donate blood, for free they will tell you what your blood type is, and that's a whole other avenue to check out.
My what? My blood? Your
Blood type.
Well, I'm A positive. Do you know anything about it?
It's just, you're 9 months in. I mean, you're a kid. You just keep learning, you keep trying, you keep working it, finessing it. That doesn't work. Oh, this is working. And you just keep working it, and you just keep working it until, you know, because fat doesn't make you fat. Food doesn't even make you fat. One person eats 5,000 calories and gets fat. The other person eats 5,000 calories and stays thin as a rail. It's absorption. It's glandular. And so you've got to keep on just cleansing out. It's like all down here. It's just, you've got to clean this up so that there's absorption and utilization through the glands and tissues, and then elimination. Like work on your elimination. Colonics?
Yeah, I haven't done any of those.
Oh, that's it. Okay, the full-on like up colonic is just going to allow some breaking loose. The only way to really get to the small intestine is through those fruits, like the fiber of fruits just slowly breaking up the chunks, holding steady to it when the cravings come up because the parasites are like dying off and you're destroying. It's like water and oxygen and sunlight, you know? And those are the things, that's what's important. Like love is number one. Love is the most important thing. And once you get that electricity of the love flowing through your being, then you're looking at like oxygen, which is like fresh air as much as possible, moving around outside, getting that in there. Just getting that in there to as deeply into those tissues as you can to help neutralize acid waste. and you're talking about sunlight, and you're talking about the purest, best, most structured water that you can get in there to start just hydrating, alkalizing, detoxifying, absorbing, utilizing, eliminating. And it's just this process, and it's an amazing journey. I love it. I'm obsessed. I think you can go and go.
I'm gonna go get ready for the dinner.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's like now.
Only take 5 more minutes of questions and then.
Okay.
And then.
Thanks,
come to the
sweetheart.
room.
Okay. I'll be right there. I don't know how to do without her. I love this kind of stuff, though. But you, let's do these quick.
Well, you said the Penza water, but how do you get a lot of water that you don't then pay kind of money? I mean, I've heard
Spring water.
distilled water withdraws.
Findaspring.com.
Oh, no, what?
Something about that. You know they're clogging up the springs down here.
They're what?
They're clogging up the springs. We went to 3 of them, closed. They're clogging them up. We've had hard.
And there's probably, maybe because of the drought or more conspiracy.
Sealing them.
You're sealing them up. They don't want us to have access to alkaline water.
That's, yeah, they're.
Over in our neighborhood, one of our neighbors have a well. They go straight down to a natural spring and underneath the house.
And he had to get
And
it so properly.
they cleaned up the whole thing, and in the past 2 months, all our water, our shower water smells like nothing but chlorine, and it's just nasty and gross. So what do we do about it?
That's the thing, getting pure water, man. That's going to water and air and sunlight without the frickin' aluminum particulates. I mean, we're at war here.
And barium.
That's why I'm so mad as hell about all these little tiny people on YouTube that are just going on. And I'm like, yo, this is real. This isn't like some stupid little game. This is our lives. These are our children. This is our planet.
Yeah, it's so true.
Grow up, you know? Like, I'm just here to try to thank God for the real people like you guys for coming out today to remind me of that I'm actually a warrior to do this, you know? And you guys inspire me. Go.
I know you're into healthy children, and I have a 7-year-old son. And I don't know if I'll have another, but I'm 35, and the doctors say, you know, you're like high risk. Do you think it's
High risk for what?
for everything? So I was wondering.
Healthy women should be able to conceive children at 60, 70, 80 years old. We just don't live right. We don't know how. We're depleted, we eat too much, but that's ridiculous. If a doctor's, I don't know, doctors, there's some good doctors out there, but for the most part, they don't know a damn thing about anything.
That's fine.
They're just not trained for it. No offense. They're just not trained for health. They're trained for suppression of symptoms, sir.
Reverse osmosis, does that do a lot to the water?
It's a step in the right direction. I mean, I'm just beginning to understand some of these things because I'm looking at this going, I'm water fasting and I'm bathing in this crap, and it's like I'm like, where I live, it's pretty much like, it's just, dude, it's not the conducive environment. It's like drought, it's like chemtrails, it's like the water. I'm doing water and research in my town is like the worst water in the country, and I'm like, oh, great.
Like somebody brought up before, reverse osmosis.
Reverse osmosis is good.
Distilled water, they always said that was the purest form of water, but like the lady said, you have to add trace minerals to it.
I like that. I like distilled water and then restructured in some way or another with some kind of patterning or writing on it, or a sprig of sea salt, or you know, a couple drops of lemon juice even, or a prayer even. But the distilled water without the sediment and the fluoride and the chlorine, it's a war zone here, guys. We really gotta keep on going and demanding and educating ourselves and making the choices and creating. We need to create a market, because if there's a market, there's like I don't know, the eugenics, man, that started a long time ago, and it doesn't call eugenics anymore, but Hitler was all into it. Look what he did. And now it's still happening, and the whole thing is like, don't sleepwalk through this thing, you know what I mean? Like, dude, this is my precious life, man. I want to be like those dudes with the total awakening. And if this is they're creating an environment that's taking that away from me, I'm going to fight for it, and I'm going to make it happen anyways.
Thank you for not being afraid
Yes.
to mention it,
I'm
too,
going-
because people get afraid to mention it for feeling you're being treated like a weirdo.
Well, I mean, I very keep it minimum. I keep it on the positive. I'm just going to say, hi, I'm Dan McDonald. There's a lot of chemicals in the air. But let's have a detox program. Here's what you do. I don't need to go into the conspiracy, like how do you chelate these heavy metals out of your brain and body? Water fasting is going to get the plaquing out and the fried fats, but the aluminums and the barium and all the other chemicals and the fluoride, that can just, if you're fasting, it's so concentrated that it could be dangerous. So I'm looking for new ways of chelating, this stuff out nice and safely. That's why I'm saying, like, juice it up, go crazy on the juice, on the fruits, on the antioxidants, on the minerals. And sir.
Yeah, you did a video a couple years ago. I still remember very clearly. It was the name of the video was Fear-Based Motivation or Love-Based Inspiration.
Yeah.
And like the truth is that we do have tons of environmental toxins all around us. We're exposed to it. We have to deal with it. Food and water and air are some of the best possible ways to do that. So all the more reason to really pay attention. But the whole thing is we can't live in fear either.
Yeah.
You got to live in love, and if that means getting involved in whatever we need to get involved in to clean up our air, water, and soil, community-wise, politically-wise, we'll do that if we're motivated. That's one way to do it. But the other way is just to love, love, love.
Yeah.
And just to go forward, loving yourself, loving your family, loving your friends, loving your environment, and just doing what you can do. And that's the lesson I've learned from you.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing.
So even if we're living in a toxic body and it's all falling apart and we're just laying in bed and we're dying, you still can choose love. You can still choose to smile at the nurse. You can still choose to be kind to the person at the grocery store. I'm falling apart. I ate like crap for 47 years and was a heroin addict. And I'm like, but you can still choose love, no matter what. And that's been something I've been really working on, But so I promise you that I go to bed at night thinking about this. I wake up thinking about this. How can I be more love for this world and for myself? Because I know if I'm going to get where I'm going, it is going to be love that got me there, not food. It'll be a loving eating. It'll be a loving awareness of where my food's coming from, who's growing it, why I'm eating it, when I'm eating it, how I'm eating it. But it'll be the love that I constantly choose over and over and over again until that level of consciousness is an automatic. If we don't all start out there, but it's constantly wanting to expand, and all we have to do is allow it. And sometimes when it shows us what's in the way, those are the hard, challenging times. It's like, hey, dude, you're doing this wrong. We don't want to look at it, but that's exactly what we need. In order for me to show up here today and be what I was today, humbled, and I had to have some really hard days. I'm glad, though, if I would have came in here on a good days, all these good days, and like, hey, I'm Dan the man. I don't want to be like that, though. I used to be like that when I was when I first started out. Thought I was so cool. Yeah, and I was cool, and I was nice and kind, and I was into the love, but I'm telling you, man, it's just like you get constantly humbled by this process. And I wouldn't...
You're late for dinner.
I know, I gotta go. I gotta go. So we have 1 minute and 30 seconds for the third video. You guys are gonna watch this on YouTube later, right? Let me see what we got here. You guys, anyone afraid of being on camera?
Nope. Oh, I want to be on camera. Let's mess up.
What up? We're going to take the last minute and a half, and then I got to go to a special fancy
I think he's had a question.
raw food dinner. Who? And say hello, everybody. Isaac. Hi. Isaac. Say hi.
Hey, everybody.
#1 Life Regenerator fan right there. Awesome. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Thank you for being here.
This is only half the group. Everyone had to leave and go to dinner. But yo, we got about a couple more seconds left here, so I'll say goodbye to the YouTube. Thanks for watching this 3-part video series. Dan the Man knocks another one home. Did you guys enjoy?
Yes.
Thank you. I love you guys so much. I got to go to dinner. When the woman speaks. Yes, ma'am. I'll be right there. Peace, y'all. Oh, 15 seconds left.
Yes, dear.
One last question. Who's going to do... What's your question? 10 seconds.
I think on behalf of everyone here, we want to salute you, brother, as a spiritual warrior.
Thank you.
For being so vulnerable